Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the Changing the Questions FastLane post-game show. My name is Paul Laporte. Joining me is not my usual partner in crime, but getting to be a semi-usual partner in crime, Mr. Daniel Peruzzi.
That's me.
And we are going to discuss the pay-per-view, the last pay-per-view before the road to, how the fuck did they put it? I don't know.
They said it a million different ways, a million different times.
The February pay-per-view for WWE, FastLane. We're going to be going over our thoughts on all of the matches, and then we'll probably do some WrestleMania speculation and discussion after that, too. It's just going to kind of naturally come from that. So before we get into the individual matches, Mr. Peruzzi, what did you think of the card overall as a whole?
I mean, it was passable. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunately what we come to expect out of the pay-per-view before WrestleMania, because it's not like it's not setting up new feuds or storylines. It's kind of furthering the ones going into WrestleMania. Expectations weren't super high, and it's about what it did. So that's where I stand.
Okay.
You?
I lost $1,100 yesterday, and this was still the worst part of my day. So this was just an example of so many things that could have been better than they were. The matches themselves kind of felt disjointed overall. There were a couple bright spots, but for the most part, like, I don't even know why we have this pay-per-view. Like, because like you said, this doesn't further anything. This just kind of is a placeholder between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. And for the past 2 years, Fastlane has had this thing surrounding it of like, oh, well, some of the stuff in the Royal Rumble sucked, but maybe they're going to correct it here, and then we're going to go to WrestleMania with this. And they don't. They're just like, no, we're just going to confirm all of your worst fears. So it almost makes you feel like this is the pay-per-view of shattered dreams, where this is the pay-per-view where dreams go to die because you expect them to do something better, but they don't, and it almost just makes you feel like they'd be better off just not having a show.
See, at least when it was Elimination Chamber, there was the chamber match, so there was this thing they could
a big
tease,
gimmick, and
you know, you might have known pretty much who was going to win any of those matches because it's not going to. Well, the really derail anything from...
And in the chamber match, the title changed hands on quite a few occasions, and they didn't always do it for the world title. Yeah. Sometimes they do it for a title shot, sometimes it'd be the IC title. Like, there's different things you can do with it.
They did it once for the IC title, I thought, right?
Yeah, just they...
But still, they did it more often or something like that.
Yeah.
That's how you add prestige, in a way, to a title like that. It's being defended in ways that normally only the World Heavyweight Championship is defended, so that's not a bad thing. I guess part of my gripe is why they get rid of Elimination Chamber or randomly make it a WWE special when they want some subscribers. I don't know, but...
All right, so let's go ahead and get on to the actual matches. We'll start off with the pre-show. The 2 out of 3 falls match for the United States Championship. Kalisto defeating Alberto Del Rio, 2 falls to 1. I'm actually surprised. I had expected Del Rio was going to win this back, and I was going to have to kill myself. But no, they had Kalisto defeat Alberto Del Rio. The match itself... now, you didn't see this one, correct?
I've only seen the highlights.
Okay.
I haven't seen
the match itself was fine. It was good. It was actually on its way to being a really good match, but it was just short because it's a pre-show.
Yeah,
they had to do it in the pre-show.
I had a feeling.
You know, they had Alberto Del Rio get the first, or give up the first fall to Kalisto by disqualification by blasting him with the chair and softening him up, and that's fine. Like, that's a thing that's done.
Super cool with that.
Yeah, that's totally fine. And then they had him get the second fall because of the damage he had done to Kalisto, and then Kalisto ended up coming back and winning the third fall. I like the fact that they didn't, for like the third or fourth show in a row, find some weird counter to Salida del Sol. Like, they teased it like that, and then instead of that, he just flipped over, rolled up Del Rio, got the flash pin, which I thought was fine. But this is just a case of we've seen these guys face so many times. They added a little different things here and there, and like I said, this could have been a very good match if it had been in like a rightful position on the goddamn main show. A show in which there were so many, especially in that last hour, so much ridiculous time filler. Like, you couldn't have put this there. I get that they want to try and get people hyped for the 5 people who don't have the network at this point to subscribe or whatever. You want to try and rope those people in. I get that, fine, but there's other matches that you can do rather than a title match to set that up.
Are they going to have a Mania match too?
God, I hope not. I hope they're done with this.
I feel like if he hits Salida del Sol and pins him with that, that's the okay.
Well, he did. He did in the Rumble match.
Yeah. But I feel like in this match too, I feel like that's how you close it out, is you hit the big finisher and that. A roll-up win, Like, yeah, it was for the third fall. It was kind of quick. I feel like that still leaves some openness.
But then maybe you figure you should close the feud with a gimmick match, and this is a gimmick match.
That's true.
So I don't know. I mean, you could be right. I just hope they don't.
I have a feeling it will be.
I'm just done with seeing. Although, granted, like in these past couple matches, Del Rio has been putting in the work more than he normally does. Normally he mails it in. He's been working hard with Kalisto, and I like that. But I'm just ready for him to wrestle fucking anybody else but Alberto Del Rio at this point.
Gotcha. See, Kalisto's one of the few people that Alberto Del Rio I haven't seen wrestle coming into this, so I don't mind seeing a little more of it. And if they get a Mania match that lasts longer and is a very good match, which both of these guys can absolutely put on, I'm okay with the FastLane and kind of prolonged feud up to that point.
Yeah.
If the payoff match is very good, which I think it could be.
I think so too, but it's just also not a matter of now they've done it so many times.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's not like this. It's not like the fucking Rock and Austin. It's not like this white hot feud that's going to carry these two through their whole careers. It's just kind of a thing that's there as a placeholder until they move on to something else. Yeah. So I'm ready for him to move on, like build to that program with Neville, or do something super awesome with some of the other guys who Kalisto can work with, and have that be for Mania instead of just rehashing the same thing we've seen for the third month in a row.
Does he drop the U.S. title at Mania and then do stuff in the Global Cruiserweight?
That's a good question. Although I don't think he necessarily would do it at Mania because the Cruiserweight series isn't supposed to be till June.
Oh, it doesn't start till June?
No.
I thought it started sooner than that.
No, it doesn't start until like the mid to end of June, I think.
Gotcha. So
I think June 17th, I think, is when they had the first one scheduled.
So maybe he retains at Mania, gets a little mini Mania moment, and then at Payback or whatever the next pay-per-view after that is.
Yeah, they might do that. Or they might do, have the crazy six-man ladder match be for the U.S. title this year instead of the IC title or something like that. They have a few different options they can go with. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the first official match of Fastlane. Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks defeating Naomi and Tamina. This was the match of the night for me. These four just worked together really well. Naomi and Tamina held up their end. You could say the criticisms about everybody else in the women's division, but the horsewomen. But Naomi and Tamina are probably, at least Naomi. Tamina has had a lot of problems in the past, but it seems like she's putting it together a little bit more. Maybe not because she has motivation. She has somebody to work with. She has, people that she can learn off of and get better.
There's a storyline that's kind of going on, finally.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe it's that, but...
It's not just her being the lackey for whoever.
Right, exactly. Even though she is kind of the lackey for Naomi, but it's working together well, and they have somebody to work against. And, of course, Becky Lynch and Sasha did really well. There was a few different creative, interesting spots in there that I enjoyed a lot. These four worked hard. And of all of the matches of the night, save for maybe the main event, I think these four worked together the best and had the best chemistry.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah, probably except for the main event. I mean, I think Jericho Styles, they had a lot of good chemistry, but they were just a couple of missteps, but we'll get there. Yeah, I guess I didn't really think about it up until you said it, but yeah, I guess they had the best. I cannot speak today. I'm sorry.
Cohesion?
That one between themselves, and the match. I think the finish was kind of predictable, which but that's the thing. Like I said, you expect kind of coming into this pay-per-view, so it's not the end of the world. And it was a good match.
Yeah, I agree. This was, of all of the matches on the card, the only one that I actually came out of going, wow, that was a good match. That was the only one of those that I actually said that about.
I said it after Ziggler Owens.
Yeah, we'll get to that one next, but that was my opinion. All right, so the next match we had was for the Intercontinental title. Kevin Owens defeating Dolph Ziggler to absolutely nobody's surprise. Good match. It was fine, but we've seen them wrestle 10 times in the past 2 weeks, and that was my issue with this match.
That's fair.
What did you think?
I mean, same thing, but the match, they're both good workers. They're both going to put on a great match, almost regardless of who they're up against. Owens ending it by not throwing Ziggler into the ropes, but just at arm's length and bringing it back. Has he done that before in NXT? I haven't seen it a lot.
I think he may have done similar things where he would set it up, but maybe not connect with that. So,
Gotcha.
I think he has done something similar, but not exactly.
I think just that little wrinkle enough was for me to go, okay, that was different enough finish to where I'm okay with this. You know, again, everything, I don't have super high expectations for this, so just that little fold in it was like, all right, that makes sense. You know, what'd you think of the kick but ducking behind the ref thing? Because the people I was watching with were like, what was the like?
Also,
right,
like
Ziggler went for the kick, he went behind him, and then hit Ziggler for the kick, and then did the power.
Yeah.
bomb.
I thought it was fine, but it was also a question of, like, it almost looked like it... Like, I think that they should have gone out of their way to make it look more intentional, because, like, seeing it, you were like, did Kevin pull him, or did the ref just step in the way, like, get in the wrong place at the wrong time, and Kevin rolled with it, because he would be smart enough to do that, and Ziggler would be smart enough to improvise to see that coming and adjust. That was, like I said, it was fine. I maybe would have liked a little bit more clarity on that, and that could have been done through the announcers, but the announcers are, of course, awful, so you won't get that.
I actually agree with that today. Normally I defend them. Today I won't.
They're terrible. I thought it was interesting JBL throwing in the little super kick party reference. We talked about that, which is...
Do you think that was an intentional?
100% intentional to annoy the Young Bucks.
Really?
Without question in my mind. Because that's a few different times they've done it, and I guarantee you that was just done to piss the Young Bucks off.
If you missed it, there was a point in the match where they both were hitting super kicks on each other, and JBL goes, we got a super kick party going on here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I actually didn't even hear it until I was watching it again later. It was just running in the background, and I heard him say it, and I was just like, okay.
Yeah, definitely intentional, and definitely a shot at the Bucks. I kind of almost... I didn't quite like that super kick exchange thing as much. Well, because they did, I think it was in the Del Rio Kalisto match, I think they did like a super kick spot or something like that. It just felt a little like I get it. That was kind of like the joke and whatever. And like when the Young Bucks do it, I feel like it's acceptable because that's just what you expect.
Yeah.
But I just kind of like, they're super kicking each other now. Like, I don't know. Like, I think Dolph Ziggler thinks he's Shawn Michaels a little bit too much, and he can't pull that off quite as well, or make it have that kind of like exclamation point feel to it.
Yeah.
And Kevin Owens, almost kind of the same thing. Like, we get it. That's what you throw. You can throw that. You're good at it. But I don't know. Like, it didn't feel right to me. It wasn't terrible. It's nothing to really criticize too much. It just was like, it took me a little bit out of the moment to go,
I gotcha.
Wow, they're doing a lot of super kicks. Like, it kind of like caused me to lose my immersion in the match.
Yeah, it kicks the suspension of doubt out the window for a minute,
Like I said, it's not even that I wouldn't expect two people to be able to kick each other. It's just a matter of, why are they doing that? Like, that was the thing.
They both have so many other offensive options. Why are they going for that?
Exactly.
As, like, the back and forth.
But overall, I mean, Kevin Owens retaining is just a no-brainer to me. There's just more leg work you can do with him than you can with Ziggler, unless you're moving Kevin on up to the main event, which they're clearly not planning on doing anytime soon. So Kevin retaining the IC champ totally makes sense going into Mania.
Agreed.
Next match, Ryback, Big Show, and Kane defeated the Wyatt family. I fast-forwarded through this, so why don't you talk about it?
The match I didn't think was that bad. Again, I didn't have big expectations because there's between the Shield and the Wyatts and everything else for the last 3 years, we've seen so many Super Friends teams of mid-carders against the faction. So, and we've seen Kane team up with people against the Shield, Kane team up with people against the Wyatts. All these people do it so many times for so long. But the match was good. I think Ryback's looking maybe better than he has in a long time. He's added this one spot where he does the running high knees in the corners like what Punk did. Mm-hmm. But when Ryback does
I'm sure Punk's thrilled about that.
I'm sure Punk is super happy about that. But the way Ryback does it with his size and his meaty legs and stuff,
right?
Excuse the terminology.
His
thick thighs. It looks like it's a thing that hurts. I read a thing that made a joke that Ryback's been operating more as a cruiserweight as of late, just with the way he's been getting around. And I wouldn't go that far, but he's been moving around a lot more. It's looked a little better, and Ryback looks like he's enjoying it. Which is kind of his like, ha stupid, joking around thing. But he genuinely looks like he's enjoying it more, and that's coming across. So I'm okay with that.
And we've talked about how important that is.
Yeah, and part of me just wants Ryback to do well, just because I like the gimmick for whatever reason. So that's that. Big Show had a spot near the end of the match where he pushed one guy out of the ring, did another thing, got everybody out of the ring, and then rolled to the outside. Was on the side of the ring that's the side where the camera is on, and ran around the post and did the flying shoulder tackle, not quite spear, to I want to say it was to one of the guys. I can't remember exactly which one it was.
To a member of the Wyatt family.
But he's so huge when he does it, it looks brutal. So that spot looked nice. Kane was passable. The end of the match was a little weird. What the end of the match was supposed to be was Ryback Harper gets distracted by a second because Kane hits Wyatt on the outside. While Harper's distracted, Ryback gets him up and hits Shell Shocked. The camera missed the Kane hitting Wyatt spot. So the announcer kind of says it. You hear Cole say it, but you don't see it, so it takes a second to figure out what's going on. And then Ryback gets Harper up. The report today is that Harper had suffered some kind of injury to his shoulder. Don't know how severe it was. What I said yesterday was he didn't hit Shell Shocked, he hit Shell Dropped. Mm-hmm. He kind of got him up, and then he just kind of fell off of Ryback's shoulders and landed on his shoulder, which was either already hurting or he hurt there. And then Ryback pins him 1, 2, 3. The ending should have been fine for the match, and I said that with air quotes. But it looked a little clunky because of the fact that Ryback I don't think Ryback dropped him. I don't know if Harper fell off. It was hard to tell exactly what happened. And that's not a spot that Ryback misses very often. Yeah, he couldn't get Tensai up a couple times way back when. But other than that, he usually hits it just fine. So that was weird. The result of the match, I question.
That's what I was going to ask. Are you okay with the Wyatts losing to the Super Friends?
The action in the match was fine, and I think did fine. Mm-hmm. Other people will probably disagree. Whatever. The result of the match, which is what I was building to, but I get a little wordy. I'm not super happy with. Why? What are you trying to build? Are you trying to build towards? Where are you trying to go? This doesn't end the feud because the Wyatts dominated them. Now they dominated the Wyatts. Is this what we're going to see at Mania? Because I really don't.
Can you think of a time where WWE took something that was so special and just destroyed it in such a period of time? Can you think of another thing that they took that came in and was super hot and everyone was just way the fuck into and then just torpedoed it within the span of 3 years, and to the point where they're jobbing to 2 retirees and a guy who just perpetually has no momentum? I mean...
I can't think of anything recently.
These are the guys who were a threat to Brock Lesnar.
Nexus?
3 weeks ago.
Cena burying the Nexus was probably the last time they've done that.
Bullseye. You got it. You win the prize.
Whee! But I don't understand it. And if the Wyatts came back later that evening and interfered with the Lesnar match, and that was the Mania thing, okay, I would kind of deal with that.
See, the thing is that I think at that point, if the Wyatts come out and interfere with Lesnar thing, it just makes Lesnar look like such a jackass goober.
Well, at that point, Lesnar, if it's after Lesnar's been put through both tables,
right? I guess, but Jesus Christ.
But and they will do. There is no shortage of things to throw at Lesnar to not make him look like a monster. So they whatever they throw at him at some point, okay. But yeah, the finish was just weird. What's the end game after the match?
Yeah.
Are they setting up a 4-man tag at Mania with Bray and they bring somebody else in? Well, no, because they couldn't beat him. So now they need Bray, so they bring Bray in? That's weak, and you're making the family look bad. I don't see from that result what good comes out of it.
I don't understand. You're supposed to have these guys, 3, you're this 4-man group, 3 of which are just giant, supposedly terrifying monsters, and 1 of which is supposed to be just, evil incarnate, essentially.
Yeah.
And they can beat virtually no one. And it's just so fucking sad. Just don't... If you are super worried about, the other people in your company looking bad, or you don't want to have, the Wyatts go over everybody, or you have problems, just don't have them come out as much. Just save the Wyatts for a thing that, they don't need to be on every show. They could show up, once a month or every few weeks or something here, just to keep them special if you're worried about them, destroying your whole roster, making everybody look bad. But, look at the Shield. Look at what they did for the Shield for 2 fucking years. They were basically undefeated. They just ran through... They beat everybody, because in the trios match, you couldn't beat them.
Yeah.
You couldn't beat all 3 of them. If you were ever lucky enough to separate one of them from the group, or maybe even 2 of them, you could get over on them. But the 3 of them together were a legit unstoppable force that you could not defeat, and were only defeated by the fucking Wyatt family. They were the first team to beat them. They beat them at Elimination Chamber. They were the first guys to do it. Why couldn't you just continue that? Why couldn't they be the new Shield that when you get them in a group, you can't stop them? You just have to hope you can catch them individually or get them in some sort of gimmick match where they're not going to be able to interfere. Like, why couldn't they have just continued that instead of, if you don't want to run Bray into the main event or put the title on Bray, I question your judgment, but fine, okay? If you want to keep him away from that for whatever reason, you don't think he's ready, or you don't think he'd be good enough, or whatever, you don't want a spooky guy with your belt, I don't fucking know, but fine. Okay, then just make them the new Shield. Just make them we're a badass stable, and when whoever we set our sights on, we're just gonna run through, and then do the same thing mentioned, and kind of the same thing that they did with this. You take 3/4 mid-card guys, team them up, run them against these guys, and then they fail. And just do that over and over and over again, and that worked for the Shield and got all those guys to the point where they're all in the main event now.
Yeah.
And you could just do that, but instead they're doing that formula, but then they're just losing all the time.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with pairing it. It gives other people to do. It gives them a team of very credible people to, build their name up more, but then they just keep not being able to beat them, and it's like, why? Like, what? These guys carried off Undertaker and Kane a few weeks ago, whatever it was, but somehow Ryback and Big Show can do more than what Taker could with Kane.
And it's just so weird because you're in a period where...
And they lost them in the end of that anyways.
You have more quote-unquote factions or many groups of people than you did when the Shield was on top. You can run the Wyatts against the League of Nations. You can run the Wyatts against the Social Outcasts. They'll get killed, but I mean, that's a program you can do.
Yeah.
Like, you can run the Wyatts against Roman and the Usos, or the Usos and some other guys. You can do like the Usos and Ziggler or Neville or somebody. Like, you have more groups of people now than you have at any point in your company in the past 20 years, and you can't think of something to do with the team that's supposed to be your strongest group.
Yeah.
It's just fucking weird.
Run them into the New Day even. Like,
yes, the New Day.
How sick would that program would be?
Have
like that's how I think that's how you save it at this point.
Exactly.
They have a program. They get the belts off the New Day. You can see the New Day dropping the belts to them.
Yeah.
Now they have championship gold, a little credibility. You can start to rebuild them. Maybe one of them gets a singles title at some point, and that's a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But they just.
That's
we'll
perfect. You're absolutely right. The stuff that the New Day could do to play off the Wyatts
would be amazing.
It'd be so entertaining, and the Wyatts would just be super serious and not taking any of their shit, and it leads to a great. Like I said, all right, we're talking too long on this. We're going to have to move on, but let me ask you, do you think them incorporating Braun Strowman hurt the group overall? Like, do you think that they would be a stronger group if it was just the three guys?
No, because they were doing this poor booking decisions before Strowman came to the group.
Yeah.
Strowman looks like a freaking beast.
He looks great. Do.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's getting there fairly quickly as a wrestler for somebody who came in very green. He's doing well, so he's fitting that role fine and all that type of stuff. I have no problem with him in the group, and I don't think he's brought it down. I think it's just bad booking.
Yeah,
illogical.
It's
booking.
just a thing of, I think, not necessarily even bringing in Braun. I just think bringing in a fourth guy may have diluted them a little bit, because now you have a thing of, like I said, there's a lot of 3-man groups or whatnot, but there aren't a lot of 4-man groups.
No, there are as many 3 as there are 4
that's
now.
True.
It's weird.
You're right. That's true. But I'm just thinking, like, in terms of, like,
I would have liked to, if they kept him at 3, I would have liked all the groups to be 3. Like kick. Rusev doesn't need League of Nations. Mm-hmm. He can be a beast again by his, or any one of them can be fine without the League of Nations. Barrett's going to be gone in a little while, anyways.
Yeah, Barrett's gone in summer.
So if it was more of a 3-man groups type of a thing, then yeah, bringing Strowman in would be weird. Unless you bring Strowman in as the other muscle, and Wyatt just becomes the guy who.
Well, that's what I'm getting to. I think that the best way to implement the Wyatts at this point, and they kind of, like, originally in NXT it was Harper and Rowan were the tag team, and then, like, the end boss was Bray, basically, or he was the third guy in the 3-man team if you could find a third guy or whatever. Like, he was basically like, yes, these are the big guys, Rowan and Harper, these are the big guys that are going to kick your ass, but Bray's the guy that's going to kill you.
Yeah.
And that's the way it was built up, and that's, like, he was seen as a bigger threat than his 2 giant henchmen. And that's the way they should do it now. It should be, if they're gonna, like, they have, like you said, they have a lot of 4-man groups or whatever, like, do the 3-man group thing of Strowman, Harper and Rowan are your 3 guys. If you manage to get through them, Bray's going to be the one that'll finish you off.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, if you don't want to have him be your champion, just don't put him in situations where he's going to be wrestling for title shots and losing all the fucking time or doing something like that. Like, have him be the opportunistic monster, ruthless bastard who just comes in and finishes you off after his crew has kicked your ass.
Yeah.
Like, have it be that way, but it's just... Like, they've just taken all the mystique and the magic and everything that made that special in NXT, and when they first got to the main roster, it's just, they have, like, the Nexus is the perfect example, because they took something that came in and you're like, wow, this is going to be awesome. I can't wait. I'm tuning into Raw to just see what these guys are going to do, and they've just obliterated that. All right, let's move on. Divas Championship match, Charlotte defeating Brie Bella with the figure 8. What do you think of the match?
Match was fine. It's they told a decent story. Try to keep it mat wrestling. Brie got a little more into it. The ending was it was clunky and weird. And
so at the end of this match,
the ending is what we have to talk about, I think.
Yeah. Well, the end once this match was over, my wife said, "Wow, Charlotte worked really hard in that match." And that was basically like she had to do everything in that match. Like, you could visibly see Charlotte like trying to cue Brie for different things, and just like. I get Brie is leaving and you maybe want to give her a little bit of a spotlight. I'm kind of glad they didn't put the belt on her. But when she gets in the ring against somebody who really knows what the fuck they're doing, like Charlotte does, you can see how out of place she is. Because, like, she goes to do stuff. Like, there was, a pinfall trading sequence they tried to do. And there was, like, two or three times that I'm, like, looking at the TV and going... Like, Brie, what the fuck? I don't even know what you're trying to do right now. Like, I legitimately don't know what you're trying to do and failing at, because you have failed that badly at what you're doing. It's just... Charlotte took her offense, made it look as credible as she could. She had her own spot. She's always good with her offense. But it was just the miscommunications were just so obvious. And yeah, the ending...
what they were trying to do was... Brie tweaked her leg on the spot a little while earlier. Mm-hmm. That's why she couldn't keep the crab in, and that's okay. If that's what you're trying to do, that's a fine finish. But it just didn't happen. I felt like
So let's talk about that psychology, quote unquote. Okay, so she throws a missile dropkick to Charlotte, hurts her knee, tweaks her knee. After she throws the missile dropkick, immediately starts kicking Charlotte in the chest, supporting her whole body weight on her bad leg while she is kicking her. Immediately afterwards. Fucking the instant after, like, oh, my leg, kick. Oh, my leg again. Adrenaline surge or whatever, but it was just terrible. Like, you could tell, like, oh, I need to do the Daniel Bryan kick spot. Oh, wait, my leg's supposed to be hurt. It was just like, holy shit. And then, like, yeah, the end was like she had the yes lock on, and then I guess the story was that she couldn't hold it because even though it's not really moving when she used her legs weren't were bothering her still. And then, yeah, Charlotte gets it, locks in the figure 4.
Well, let's almost
figure
get there.
Whatever.
But even before that,
okay.
So she has her in the S-lock, transitions to a half crab. Now, in a half crab, your leg is getting there's other things too, but your leg's getting bent back. And she was in that for a minute. It felt like she was in there for a while, and the process of her throwing Brie off. I didn't feel like Charlotte was like trying to get up, fighting, and then finally did. It was just like all of a sudden, Brie just jumps towards the ropes.
It's my time to let go.
And okay, Flair was supposed to be Ric Flair was supposed to be out there doing a distracting, doing whatever. That didn't come across right. Charlotte, I felt like just kind of laid there until she threw her off, which maybe she was just tired from carrying the match. Ha ha ha. Whatever. I don't know.
Well, I think, and I genuinely forgot about the half crab afterwards. Maybe that was the idea, is that Brie needed to balance herself on her bad leg, and she couldn't, so she slipped and fell off of her.
And maybe the announcers didn't do a good job of selling it. I had 10 people at my house, so it was kind of hard to hear the announcers at times. I didn't feel like the announcers sold it. All of a sudden, she's in that, and Charlotte goes from being in a half crab for a minute, after right after the yes lock for a bit, into hitting the figure 8. And that's the thing that happened before, was
that was with Nikki Bella. Yeah, you're right. When she won the Divas title, that is the critique. And I don't know if that's a thing with Charlotte or just the way it's badly booked. But that you're right. That is that match too was Nikki Bella working on Charlotte's leg for like a half hour or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Charlotte's like, oh, figure 8 time, da-da-da. Like, yeah, if you're gonna do the psychology of wearing down a person's leg or whatever, like that's a little bit different because it was just a submission hold. Like Brie wasn't working her leg over the whole match. It wasn't quite as bad of an offense.
Yeah.
But I agree that in situations like that,
thing.
just throw natural selection and get the pinfall and get out of there. Like you don't need to do the figure 8 at that point.
Has she won a match with her non-submission finisher?
I don't think so. Not since she's got there.
I don't even remember what it is.
So it's like when it's opponent's up on her knees and she does like a flipping cutter.
Okay.
So that's her. That was her finish in NXT for most of it.
Gotcha.
Before she incorporated the figure 8. Like the figure 8 was just kind of like more of a transition move, and they kind of reversed.
Yeah. Look, I get they all want to
do that,
finishers, and it's perfectly fine. I'm super cool with that. But at some point, you got to hit the other thing.
Also, the worst part about that figure 8, Brie is 3 fucking inches from the ropes. Like she is almost underneath them at the time, right? So don't reach out, grab them, nothing. Like you could like have her grab it and then have Charlotte pull her away and get it in again and then do that. But it was just that was awful. And Brie is in it for 2 seconds and she starts tapping out. And the way that the Bellas, both of them, tap out to a submission is not like a, oh my god, I'm in too much pain, I can't take this anymore. It's like a, ah shit, you caught me. Okay, fine. like literally that's how it is. Watch them tap out.
It's like her checking at a poker table.
It's not like okay, I'm done, I can't take anymore. It's oh you caught me in this. Okay, I guess I have to I lose the match now.
And that was the thing too, like the end of the Styles Jericho match, Jericho sold being in that.
Yeah, we'll get into that, but yes, exactly.
There's a struggle. Bree is just like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the same thing. It's like, yeah, Jericho was like, yes, that is how you tap out to a submission. Chris Jericho did it fucking perfectly.
I agree.
Right. We'll talk about that match next, but that ending was fine, and that's how you do it. But like I said, Brie and then Nikki too, same thing. It's like when there's like they don't understand what the purpose of that means. They that's the thing of like that. Obviously comes from mixed martial arts. It's a signifier to the referee that you can't take this anymore. The match needs to be over with.
Yeah.
But the way that they sell it, it's just like they're throwing a temper tantrum because they got caught in a submission.
Oh,
and now I guess I lose now.
You got me.
It's terrible. Like they don't fight, they don't resist, they don't try and do anything. And like I genuinely don't want to shit talk somebody on their way out the door. But Brie is just. She's just not a good wrestler. Nikki wasn't a good wrestler, and she worked her ass off and put in a lot of effort, and actually got to be pretty passable.
Yeah,
passable to good.
I would say good
towards the end, and she may be back, and hopefully she will be because I don't want to see anybody be gone for good. You're right. It depends
with Brie leaving because of everything.
Yeah, but she still got Cena there, so her boyfriend's still there. So I could see her coming back, and I think honestly, Nikki has a little bit more. Of at least, even if not a love for even if not a love for the business, a desire to be famous more a little bit than her sister, and this is really the only way she's going to be famous. That's fair. I think that she is going to work harder to get back. But yeah, it was disjointed. Charlotte did her best, but Brie is done with this. Hopefully, she's out of that program, and then we can move into what everybody's looking.
She's going to have some kind of match at Mania. I don't know what.
Is she?
That's what I think I was seeing.
Will that be like her last match or whatever?
Probably. I just don't know who would be against.
Yeah, this one. Like I said,
she has no other storyline right now.
I can't imagine that they're going to have a rematch for that belt when they have Becky and Sasha waiting in the wings for a match. Like it seems like that triple threat is what they're building towards, or something. So I hope not. I hope they don't try and like slip her in as a fourth person or whatever.
Maybe somebody comes in at Raw and insults her, and she gets super offended, and that's what they built.
Or maybe like they have like now that Naomi and Tamina are kind of done with those two, maybe they start to pick on Brie or something.
Maybe,
I don't know. Or like Alicia Fox or something. Maybe
she said on like some talk show that she's there through Mania, and that's probably it.
Okay,
so it's like,
all right. So next up we had AJ Styles defeating Chris Jericho with the calf crusher. Chris Jericho, the part of Chris Jericho in this match being played by Brie Bella. Because he was so fucking out of pace to me.
I know. I hate it.
Yeah.
He wasn't super out of pace. I don't know if he's out of pace or if for whatever weird reason him and Styles just can't quite get on the same page.
So it feels
tough. It's tough because you expect such great things out of both of them. And they're having good matches, but they're not having the great matches you know they have.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's just a fact of Chris Jericho is not in shape enough to go at that level with a top level guy anymore, or it's just like I feel like it's either that, like he just physically can't do it anymore. He's mid-40s or whatever, early mid-40s.
He hit probably the best looking Lionsault ever.
For in a long time. That's true. So that's, and he does pull off things at certain moments that make me think that it's not necessarily that. Option 2 is he's never seen an AJ Styles match in his life, and he's like, for some reason, like, begrudgingly, like, not, like, studying his opponent and learning his moveset and learning how his moves work. Because the biggest glaring, like, they had little miscues and missteps, kind of similar to their first Raw match on this one, but the biggest one was AJ Styles pulling out the moonsault reverse DDT for the first time, and I'm like, oh, it's like, I see him grab the ropes and go, I'm like, oh, moonsault. Jericho's in the middle of the ring. He is way too far away. Like, if you've ever seen that spot, you know that guy is standing 3 to 5 feet max back from the ropes. Like, AJ needs to go more up than backwards to make that look good. So AJ had to, like, correct himself mid-air, get, like, way crazy distance from what he usually does, and basically, like, grab Jericho around the waist and, like, fall backwards with him, and it looked fucking awful.
It looked weird. People, one of the guys I was watching with thought it was botched, and I was like, no, he meant to do that. That's a thing.
Yeah, but he meant to grab him around the neck.
It was just, it didn't come across well. But what was weird was because they had two other very important time spots in the match, the springboard, or the over-the-top rope when Jericho dropkicks from the outside, that was basically perfect.
Yeah, that looked great. Yeah.
When he went for the springboard and Jericho did the second rope springboard dropkick to knock him off of it, that was perfect.
Yeah, true.
Those were timed so well.
Yeah.
And those are probably the two toughest spots in the match, but then all the other... It's like they do the easy stuff fine.
See, but that's the
they're
thing
doing
is
the
that
harder stuff fine. It's the intermediate stuff they just can't.
I also feel like those were probably things like, okay, we're gonna do that. We're gonna work this out before the match. We're gonna figure this out. Like, you're gonna do this, and I'm gonna hit this, and but I feel like where they falter, and like you said, is the intermediate stuff where they're just like, okay, rope flip reverse DDT. You know, like they're just calling it in the middle, and Jericho's like, okay, I can do this, and then like, he's just back here. You know, so that's just what it made me feel like. There were a couple things there. Like I said, just it felt disjointed and just like they weren't communicating right.
I still thought it was a fine match.
It was fine, but it's like you said, it's not the match that those two should be having.
So much they can have.
Or maybe we're just expecting too much for Chris Jericho these days. I don't know.
But he just had that great match with Neville.
Yeah, that's true. That match was awesome. What did you think of Jericho kicking out of the Styles Clash?
I was very surprised. Surprised.
To me, that did, I think, is just cement the fact that the Calf Crusher is going to be AJ's final finisher, and that was basically just kind of closing the book on the Styles Clash being his main finishing move, I think.
Is that maybe the way for WWE to not have him doing that move?
Yes. I think so. I think it's going to be a thing of that was meant to establish in people's minds that the Calf Crusher is a stronger move than the Styles Clash, and we're not going to use that very often, or if we do, it's going to be on very rare occasions.
Does he pick up a different pinfall finisher?
I don't know. I don't think so, because honestly, like, I really...
in my opinion, not having one of each of those that you can pull out, you know, readily, and that WWE's willing to let you pull out, kind of makes you one-dimensional.
Well, to me, it feels more like AJ Styles is going to be a guy where he will, if he scores pinfall victories, it's not going to be via a finisher. Like, he'll grab it out of something else. Like, he'll grab a reversal or something like that. But I think that it's just going to be the Calf Crusher is going to be his main move.
That makes sense.
And that's going to be, like, his finish. And, I mean, I've never been a huge fan of the Styles Clash, just because I don't think it looks that good as a move. You know, like... it's like, oh, I'm falling forward to my butt or onto my stomach. You know, it's not like your head isn't hitting the mat. Like, and the thing is, like, if it botches, it might kill you. It's legitimately broken like 3 people's necks. It's not a matter of I don't think certain guys are big enough or that he's like not that he can't get it on certain guys or whatever. But I also do think that it's just a thing of like we have a lot of guys who have never taken this before and don't know how to do it. So the sled up is either clunky or, like I said, we're risking a guy tucking his chin instead of looking up and then killing himself.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a thing of like he may pull that off against certain people, but it was establishing the Calf Crusher as his new. Like, this is your finish now. And like I said, honestly, I've always liked the Calf Killer better than I liked the Styles Clash.
So match ended up just being passable.
Yeah, it was fine.
Should have been better.
They did a handshake at the end.
What? Why?
Yeah.
Why? I was torn because I didn't know if there was an ending that I was okay with. Mm-hmm. If they do the handshake, okay, they're closing the book on the feud, both onto other things. That's fine. But if they don't, we get heel Jericho, which is where Jericho should be right now. I feel like.
Well, that's exactly.
But if we goes heel Jericho, that doesn't feel like it's an end of the feud.
Well, so to me,
I feel like they booked themselves into a corner.
What I think it is that I think WWE saw this match as a passing of the torch, because I think that they view AJ Styles as, in the same way that they view Chris Jericho, or they viewed Chris Jericho.
That's
like
fair.
they think that he is basically the 2015 Chris Jericho, essentially. So I think that that's what they're using, and they're using that handshake to be like, Jericho, like, I accept you, and that's what they're doing with that.
I guess it's just me selfishly.
However, no. But I disagree. I do agree. I don't think they should have done that. You know, like, have him get the win, and Jericho doesn't need to do anything big. Jericho rolls out of the ring, like, kicks the steps, and, like, limps away because his leg is still killing him from the submission. And again, like, we glossed over it, we talked about the last match, but the way Chris Jericho tapped out was perfect.
Yeah.
Like, it was really, like, he tried. Like, he tried to the point where I thought, like, he's going to get out of this. Like, he's going to get out of this and win the match, because he kicked out Styles Clash. Now he's going to escape the calf killer. Like, this is going to be terrible. But then he really sold it, like, he did not want to quit, but he has to, especially because they did the thing where it's just like the general pull and resist and fight, and then like Chris is just like, he's like, and he's like trying to fight it, and then AJ just goes boom and like really overcranks it, and that's the point where Jericho just screams and taps out like he can't take it anymore, and that was beautifully done between those two. But like I said, you don't need to do a big handshake or a big resolution. It's just Jericho rolls out of the ring, he throws a little tantrum, he's like, I can't beat this guy, goddammit, and then he leaves. And then you move him on.
Yeah.
And then that's it. I don't think
Is he wrestling through Mania, or is he...
Jericho, he has to be. That's the payday. That's the paycheck that you want to get. Of course he
Yeah.
is. So I don't know if they move him into some sort of multi-man for the IC or the US title. I feel like that's probably the best place for him. But like I said, it was fine. This feud was like, I'm glad they got it out of the way before Mania, so now AJ can do something more interesting with someone at Mania. That's kind of my overall feelings on this. And now we move on to intermission, apparently, because for some reason we can't get a goddamn U.S. title match on the show, but we can have 20 minutes of Edge and Christian promoting their show with the New Day, and
that was close to being perfect, I thought.
Really?
Because New Day comes out. Who's going to step to us? The Ascension? No. Dudley's? No.
Right.
These guys? No. All I wanted was for Enzo and Big Cass's music.
That was everybody.
I was right.
Everybody was expecting.
Dude,
that.
I was asking anybody who was there. I was like, "Come on, it's different."
Yeah.
Oh, I was so excited, and then just somebody do something,
exactly.
and then just no,
Yeah,
why?
You exactly.
Why
that
was the League of
thing.
Nations music hitting?
Yeah, that was exactly you.
I don't even hate the League of Nations.
No, neither do I. But I think that says everything that needs to be said, because I thought the exact same thing. It's like, oh, they're running out every name or tag team name in the company, so either like Enzo and Cass, or like maybe they decide to pull Gable and Jordan out of nowhere. Like somebody, that comes out and does that, and then like, because you think here's Edge and Christian, loudmouths, New Day loudmouths, fucking Enzo Amore, who is the current king of loudmouths at this point, comes out. And that was exactly where you do that, and then they do some sort of impromptu
So that's
match.
why I say it was close to perfect. It was almost the best moment of the night for me. And then it's just
took
like
a hard left turn into hell.
And what was that like? Are New Day supposed to be face now? Was that a New Day face?
Yeah,
turn?
that's what I was wondering. It's like,
Like-
are they trying to establish them as faces because they're getting the C-level approval from?
If they're doing that, I'm not against. But it's just I don't know. Nah.
This is also like continuing the trend.
It was funny
of
but-
New Day taking our previously we thought untouchable, awesome, charismatic guys and making them look terrible because they're just so much better than all of them. Because it happened with The Rock, and it kind of happened with Edge and Christian too. It's like we're throwing our silly catchphrases, and then the New Day is just burying us with the most random and weird bullshit.
I thought it was fairly even.
I don't know.
I mean, you want your current star to look a little better than your past star,
right? But I think that's just a matter of they actually just are legitimately better in terms of. It's more just because, maybe it's just because it's my sense of humor, but just New Day is on a level of weird that nobody else can approach. You have, a established high-flying veteran, you have a legit badass strongman, and then you have a guy who's like a doctor, and they're wearing unicorn horns and going around in pastels and just shaking their asses every chance they get. It's just like they are in a level of bizarre, like that Goldust could never fucking hope to reach. Like they are just so fucking weird, and they're beautiful because of that. And that's what I think. It's like, and that was the same thing that kind of like made Edge and Christian interesting, was because they just kind of became silly and weird and offbeat. But the thing is like, we've seen Edge and Christian's brand of silly and weird and offbeat for 15 years.
Yeah.
New Day's feels new and fresh. And maybe it's the same thing with The Rock. Maybe that's just it. It's just a fact of, when New Day comes out for a promo, I have no fucking clue what's gonna happen. Like, you just don't know what's gonna happen.
The Booty James?
Yeah,
I lost it.
You don't know what's gonna happen during a New Day promo, but when you see Edge and Christian out there, or you see The Rock, you kind of get an idea of what they're gonna say.
Yeah.
Like, they've run through their bag of tricks. And maybe the New Day is gonna be the same way in 10 years. But for
now,
right
it's
now,
a joyride.
yeah, exactly. They're fantastic. And yeah, so the League of Nations comes out, there's no match. There's no fight. It's just, they just kind of wander off, and then Edge and Christian, it's like I thought maybe they were going to do a thing where like the League of Nations was going to menace Edge and Christian, and then New Day comes in and makes the save. And like,
again, I thought, okay, because I let myself again believe maybe we're gonna see it. I thought maybe
Enzo and Cass were gonna come out and join, them or something like that, or like that was exactly it. Like maybe they leave, Edge and Christian leave, and like, well, we're not gonna fight you tonight, but these guys are. Then they come out.
My one question is, how much does the casual fan know Enzo and Big Cass?
I don't think it matters at all.
You don't think so?
I don't think it matters in the slightest.
Gotcha.
Just for this, and that's the thing though. If that is the case, and that is something they're concerned about. First of all, I think that
they bring them in with vignettes and stuff.
I think, or you just bring them in with just tag matches and just say, okay, here's your microphone, Enzo, go, and just have him talk on the way to, because that's how because Enzo and Cass have been with NXT longer than anybody else at this point. They've been with them 4 years, I think.
Gotcha.
And when I first started watching them. I first started watching NXT really in 2013, and that was just it. Like, it wasn't to the point where the certified G bonafide stud thing was like a sing-along. Like, he would say that, but then he would go on to do like another 2 minutes of something else on his way to the ring.
Gotcha.
And it was just nuts. Like, he would just, every time he would say something, it would be completely different and crazy and off the wall. And I think if they just let him basically do what he did in NXT and just kind of reset that and come up, even if they are worried about that, then that will be fixed instantly.
Maybe they come out on Raw. I just want them.
At this point,
they were in Albany the night before.
Yeah,
so
that's true. So getting to Cleveland, it's not a terrible run, but it would have been taxing.
Yeah.
I think they're probably going to save him for the day after Mania at this point.
I'm okay with that too. I'm willing to wait for that.
I'm okay for that too.
Because day after Mania crowd's always insane.
That's the thing, is like I said, they're not booked for Dallas, I don't think, at this point. So that makes me think that they maybe will show up beforehand and then have a spot on Mania, which good for them if they can pull. If they can get like the 80,000 people doing the sing along gimmick to them.
I don't want to see them debut at Mania because all the big shows.
I don't think they debut at Mania, but I think they would like debut like a few weeks before and then maybe build to some sort of like, maybe they're doing like with League of Nations talking, or with New Day talking shit to League of Nations and all these other teams. Maybe they're building up for some sort of another Four Corners tag match or something like that.
Gotcha.
And then slip Enzo and Cass in the mix.
I think they'll be there soon.
Yeah. All right. So from there, we continue to add to our filler of Curtis Axel defeating R-Truth when they had Goldust come out and try and fight off the Social Outcast, but that led to a distraction. And then Curtis Axel got the roll up. And why are we doing that? I get you need a cooldown, but Jesus Christ,
I had no problem with this. It was short. It was the cooldown, like you said. I think the Edge and Christian thing probably dragged on too long. So it felt longer than it needed to. But this, as a match, it was short. It was out of the way. The timing on the roll through, Truth jumps him, all that stuff was fine. It sells the Golden Truth thing, which I'm not super stoked about that because it's just Goldust and Booker T.
It's the two oldest guys in the company.
So, like, it's goofy and it's funny, but I could be fine without it. But they threw it in there. We got to see Social Outcast on a pay-per-view, so that's good. I thought it was fine.
See, I would have been okay with it if this match was announced beforehand.
I was very surprised.
I would have preferred that more because...
And again, I saw Social Outcast come out and I go, oh, they're going to run their mouth, and Enzo and Amore are going to come out.
Same goddamn thing. I thought the same thing. Like, oh, they're going to shit-talk him, and then out come Enzo and Cass. Yeah, exactly. I thought the same, and that's why. Like, if you're gonna do a surprise on your pay-per-view, it should be a surprise that fans are looking forward to, or that they will enjoy afterwards. Nobody is really looking. I like the Social Outcasts. I'm a big fan of a lot of those guys in the group. It's so goddamn funny to me that so they come out and they talk. They talk on the mic, and it's like fucking Curtis Axel is like Brick from Anchorman. Like, he's just like, everybody says stuff that is weird but fairly coherent, and then Curtis Axel's like, I'm a tank. Like, he's just the weirdest.
That was great.
Yeah, I enjoy that, but it just feels like Curtis Axel is not quite from this planet, or English is not his first language. Like, it's just like
we've seen the McGillicuddy promo.
Yeah, exactly.
NXT,
that's what I'm saying. Every time he gets on the mic, he says stuff that it's like he's an alien who is like he's trying to communicate based on like television shows he's watched.
That was great.
So it's something, and he's like, "You're close, but we know something's wrong." Like, are you like three children on top of each other in a Curtis Axel outfit or something? Like,
as long as they're not trying to hide it and cover it up, and they're making it just hilarious.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Right, I'm fine with that. Again, and like I said, I would not have minded this match if it was announced. Like, do a little thing on SmackDown beforehand, like, oh, like, get out of my way, Curtis Axel, or get out of my way, R-Truth. They're like, they do something to each other, and they're like, oh yeah, well, I'll see you at FastLane on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then you have that, and then like you're going through the thing, like, well, where's this match? And then, oh, okay, it's here. Well, they told us it was going to be here, so I guess this is where the match is.
Yeah.
And then that's your cooldown, and I'm fine with that. But the fact that, like you said, we were expecting something special out of that. When they did the New Day segment, when they did... You know, when they did the New Day segment, we saw it on paper, it was like, they're going to do something. They're going to debut somebody in this spot or do something special. And then they didn't. And then they had this afterwards. Like, this is a surprise. Like, oh, maybe they're doing it here. I thought the exact same thing you did. And no, it's just a regular, you know, curtain jerker match that they're doing at the cooldown before the main. I understand that you want to cool down your audience, but goddamn, like, and the women's match is no longer a cool down because they're actually having talented women putting on good matches, so that's not your cool down anymore. Although I'm still personally in the vein that I would prefer every show end with Divas title, world title back to back. Like, Divas title is your semi-main, and then the world title is your main, and then have like the cooldown come before those two or something like that. Like, I would kind of almost prefer that because that's just me more my MMA brain thinking.
Gotcha.
Like, whenever you have two titles on a show, you do one less popular title or smaller, usually lighter weight title than heavier title.
Gotcha.
So that was my thinking for that. But yeah, there's cooldown matches and there's kill the audience matches, and this kind of felt like the latter. So we move on to the main event, triple threat match: Roman Reigns defeating Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar. All right, what do you think? What do you think of the match? We'll talk about the ending first, but as the match
itself was fine. You know, they teamed up when they had to get Lesnar out of the way. It's what you saw coming. It made Lesnar look fine. Good. I mean, when's the last time you see somebody go through two tables in the same match? It's been a while. And they did the burying thing, and he still came back from that. When he came back and hit the suplex / Samoan drop, I thought that was sick because that pretty much was Lesnar lifting them both.
Yeah.
So they made Lesnar look amazing, and I had no problem with any of that. Roman winning, I mean, it's what was going to happen. Again, it's kind of what this pay-per-view is. It's predictable. You know what's going to happen, so it is what it is. The match was fine, and the ending was meh.
So, yeah, I agree. I think the story they told in the match was the exact right story they needed to tell.
Yeah.
It made sense. Hey, we're friends. We need to both team up and kill this guy. And then any free moment we can get where this guy is down, we need to try and... It was like a video game, basically. Yeah. Like, it felt like a video game triple threat where it's like, you and me are playing against a computer opponent, Dan. Well, we're just going to kick the shit out of the computer opponent until he's not a problem anymore, and then we're going to fight each other.
Yep.
Like, that's what it felt like, and that was fine. And, like, I agree, the powerbombs brought through the two tables, and it was funny, because I saw the German announce table show up, and my wife was like, are there normally 3 tables out there? I was like, no, they need to break 2 tables tonight. That was literally what I said. It's like, they need a second table to break. I thought that they would have broken the German one and left the English one alone, but... They didn't, so props to them for that, at least. Germany standing tall at the end.
Real quick side note. When they took Byron Saxton's chair for the... Oh, you didn't see it.
No.
Strowman goes over and takes Byron Saxton's chair for Wyatt to sit on at ringside the whole time. So the entire time you see Byron Saxton just standing at the announce table, which was hilarious.
That's good.
I
like that.
Them dumping on Saxton is always funny.
They should have continued to do that to Michael Cole, like Kevin did at the Royal Rumble.
But, yeah.
It should just be continuing to let's make Michael Cole's life miserable.
You know, Kevin Owens afterwards dropped the title in front of him, was like, that was funny too. You know?
Of course. So, yeah, the story this match told was fine. It made perfect sense. like I said, I like the spot at the end. It felt like the ending came way quicker than it should have.
Yeah.
Because it just like, oh, it's over? And that's like, it was a thing of like, what did, like, you, that's, and that was another thing that pissed me off more about the Social Outcast stuff in the New Day segment. It was just like, you needed more time for that, I guess, so you took out of your main event? Like, it was just weird. And
it's, WWE's doing a weird thing too. I don't know how much you pay attention to it. The timing at the end of the pay-per-view. For a long time, we were used to, for whatever cruddy reason, the pay-per-view is going to end at quarter of. And then Rumble went much later than quarter of. I think it went almost right up until the top of the hour.
Yeah.
And that was different, and it made it feel like it was a thing. Like, anytime they go into overtime on Raw, it just feels different when you're watching it. And that's awesome. It's amazing, and I'm glad they don't do it all the time, and it's only a once in a while thing. But they ended so much earlier this time. It was like, I thought maybe because they were on the network now that they were going to just, it's going to last the full 3 hours, not 2:45.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that they're not completely off of pay-per-view carriers. I think once they fully get off of pay-per-view carriers, seeing a full 3 hour show is a lot more likely. But that's probably not going to be for another few years at least.
Yeah.
And that's the reason, is they have to give the carrier time to do like bumpers for the replay or something like that.
So I guess then they're going back to their ending at quarter of, but they threw us off with a longer thing at the Rumble, so I wasn't ready for the finish yet, and it happened, and I'm okay with that. Anything that I'm not quite expecting that happens, I'm okay with. So I guess in the end I'm okay with the timing of the finish.
It's just
it did feel like
it's just a thing of like, you know, they set it up and they had Brock come in. So they had Brock come in. They did the Samoan German spot, which, like you said, looked great and was really good. And then they had a back and forth between Roman and Lesnar, and then Lesnar locks on the Kimura. Roman, lifts him up, which, again, like, that's an okay spot, but in my MMA brain, it's like, oh, that's not what you want to do in that spot.
Yeah.
That's, like, let's put more pressure on my show. Let's add gravity to that. Like, that's good.
We've seen Triple H do it.
Right, I understand,
stuff.
like, okay, so fine.
I felt like he might have been in it a little too long, because this move, when he cinches it, broke Shawn Michaels' arm.
Right.
Broke Triple H's arm.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm air quoting again. So for Roman to stay in it that long, I get you're trying to tell the story of Roman.
Yeah. So
and Ambrose breaking up with the chair was brilliant.
Yeah.
But then here's the thing. He hits Lesnar 3 times. He hits Reigns 3 times. He hits Lesnar one more time, and that jettisons him out of the ring.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but I guess like he hit like Lesnar, and then it's just like Lesnar's like just trying to get away from it, and he's already been put through 2 tables. Like he's already worn down fine. The problem for that one with me was between the last chair shot on Roman and that chair shot that sends Lesnar out of the ring,
Roman gets
10
up
seconds,
fine.
And bang, spear, and that's enough to put down Dean, who in this amount of time who has taken basically a Samoan drop and then nothing for like a minute. He's had like a minute to rest and recover, and then that spear puts him out for good. Like, I thought maybe Dean was going to kick out of there, and then they were going to advance on, but like Roman just completely shrugs off the chair shots he's taken from Dean. And
like he was just in the Kimura for, again, it felt like it was probably 30-ish seconds.
Yeah.
And then he takes the same 3 chair shots Lesnar takes one less chair shot than Lesnar, but he's able to just pop up spear and get the pinfall. It was like, come on. Like,
it was a Cena move. It's like, that's Cena psychology there. Like, it does not matter what you do to me, it's time for the end of the match, let's go. And then he gets him, he pins, Triple H comes down, they hold up the belt, and you know what? All of this stuff, all of the rote-ass booking and the predictable-ass finish, I would have at least been able to tolerate, if not even forgive, if one of 2 things happened. Either Triple H gets into the ring and Roman just goes for him and beats his ass immediately. Just goes right at him. You hate this guy. You're going to be fighting him in the main event. You hate his guts. He hates you. Fight him. Or they do the face-off. Triple H holds up the belt. Here comes Dean Ambrose. Wham! Chair to the back of Roman Reigns. Beats him down. I wanted this. This was supposed to be my opportunity. And then that's how you end.
That's fair.
Either one of those ways. But it's the fact of, first of all, Roman Reigns gets up, and I don't know who he keeps fucking winking to, but at the end of the match, like, they show him, and he, like, winks to somebody. And it's like, well, the fuck are you? Stop fucking winking! Why are you winking? Who are you winking to and why? You were supposed to be in one of the hardest matches of your life against a monster force of nature and your best friend, and who you had to beat to win this match, and you're like, I got you, buddy. Like, what the fuck was that? Stop doing that. It's like every fucking time he does that in a promo or at the end of an important match, he just winks to fucking someone. Stop. You're supposed to be a fighter. You're supposed to be fighting people and hurting people as your fucking job.
I can't wait to listen to this.
Just stop fucking winking at everybody. God damn it. So he does that.
Angry Paul is the best Paul.
Oh my god! So he does that, and like I said, then Triple H comes in, and I thought for sure Roman Reigns was gonna like try and shake Triple H's hand, and if he was, I would have gonna throw my fucking controller through the television, because I was just so like, you should be fighting him, you should be angry, like this should be like, this guy has stolen things from you, and now you have the opportunity to get it back, and you should hate this guy's guts, and you shouldn't even be able to hold yourself back from beating his ass right now. And no, it's like, oh, I'm going to see you at WrestleMania. Okay, see you there. And, oh, god damn it. Like, oh. It's just like, oh, I guess that's it. That's the end of the show. I wasted fucking 3 hours of my life.
Like I said, I didn't think it was a waste. I thought it was passable.
Well, I thought some of the matches were fine. It was like it had this reverse momentum to it, where the early stuff was good, and it got worse and worse and worse. And that was kind of the same way. Like, it was funny because it was the same thing that happened.
The Rumble?
I don't know if it was the Rumble the one. No, it was TLC.
Yeah.
When they did the tag team ladder match, and Kalisto does the Salida del Sol spot off the ladder.
Sick.
That was the first match. I'm like, well, good fucking luck following that up, everybody else on the show.
Sure enough.
And this match, and this time it was the women's tag match. This was basically the same thing. It's like, well, good luck following that. You've had the U.S. title match, and then that match. Good luck, everybody, and nobody else did it. Like it's like the
Ziggler Owens was fine.
Yeah, it was fine,
just like,
and then it just gets worse and worse and worse. And you know, the Charlotte Brie, okay, Jericho, AJ, all right. Now we have the New Day segment kills it, Social Outcast, and then the main just sits us at the bottom of our bed of low expectations. And that's the problem. And it's just like...
And where are they going with Lesnar and Ambrose? Are they going to fight?
I don't know if they're going to do Lesnar and Ambrose, or they're going to run Lesnar into a thing with the Wyatt family.
So that's the thing. So I am glad that there was no outside interference.
I agree.
Because it happens all the time.
I agree.
And one of two things was... thought was going to happen. Wyatts were going to screw over Lesnar, or the Dudley Boys were going to try to mess with the match in some way, which I would have been a little more okay with, because I like Dudley Boys as a heel tag team. I think everybody should like them as a heel tag team, because that's why they're amazing. But like, none of it happened, which was just weird, because it's like, I prefer to see less interference in matches, but at least then you're setting up a storyline for Mania.
Well, and then that too.
Where's Lesnar for Mania?
And then that too, you have the idea of, well, the problem is that Lesnar's kind of being booked as a face right now, but the Dudleys are heels, because it would have actually made sense if they were kind of just continuing on that thing of have them both interfere. Like, Lesnar is outgunned right now because these two guys are clearly going to fight him off before they do anything to each other. So Paul Heyman, as an insurance policy, sends the Dudleys in to soften up Ambrose and Reigns. So it's basically evening the odds, quote unquote, even though now they're more in Brock's favor. And then the Wyatt family comes out. And then you want to do like the Heyman family versus the Wyatt family at Mania. And then there's your trios match.
See, I'm fine with that. Or bring in RVD as the fourth.
The thing is, again, it's a matter of, do you want to, how do you want to do this? You want to have this be your heels, or you want to have it be faces? I mean, I'm okay with a heel versus heel fight, because that's what the Shield and the Wyatts basically was. And I don't mind seeing heel versus heel and face versus face matches.
But WWE for some reason doesn't like.
Yeah, but they've shown in the past that when they do it, it can be okay. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is that, again, it's like, okay, so let's talk a little bit about WrestleMania now. We've said before on this show that the main event doesn't sell WrestleMania anymore. That it's the Super Bowl, it's a social media event, it's a pop culture event, and that's what sells it. Right. Okay, I think they're taking that message a little too much to heart, because this main event of Triple H versus Roman Reigns is supposed to be it's supposed to be a match that is going to sell more tickets than Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. That's literally what they're trying to do here. And you're supposed to have your main event be your top heel versus your top baby face. Triple H is supposed to be your top heel, but what is he? He's just not like, he's not sinister. Like, what is he? Like, other than screw over Roman Reigns, sort of, kind of, despite the fact that he's given him like 50 fucking title shots. How has he screwed over any, like, he's not the evil, sinister guy, and this is going to be one night after he is going to be, granddad of NXT Triple H, who is going to put on the best show of that weekend with the NXT Dallas card, which is going to bury WrestleMania harder than they've ever been buried before. Like, they have made their own competition, and their own competition is going to kill WrestleMania. And Triple H is going to be the lead of that. He's going to be the face you see. His ass is going to be out there because he loves the attention and the adulation.
Yep.
And that's the thing, is that Triple H, despite the fact that he's always been this heel, he can't help but want the audience to like him as this cool guy, badass character. So you have this heel who's sort of not really a heel versus this face that nobody likes and that's already lost to the top, or who had to beat the other top two legitimate baby faces that people actually like. Where you have Ambrose as the pure baby face and Lesnar as the guy who is technically a heel but everybody loves anyways. So you basically have
I think Lesnar is straight up face at this point.
A heel. Yeah, that's true. So you have a heel that people don't want to boo and a babyface that people don't want to cheer for. And that's your biggest match on what's going to be your biggest card ever.
That was the thing.
That's trying to sell out a 100,000 seat arena.
That was the thing too. Roman gets up on the ropes after the win, and the audience is just
boo, fuck you.
Not even boo. It's more the silence than anything else. There's no energy. There's nothing. Like the crowd went bigger for Brie Bella getting yes chants going than they did for the main event. It's like, or for the winner of the main event.
Yeah.
And
this is supposed to be your big marquee match. And again,
is there a chance Vince sees all that, hits the panic switch, and something crazy happens?
No, they would have done this at some point. Like the thing is that the problem is that they've booked themselves into this corner. They have to finish the story. Like, there's nothing like you've told the story. It's too late now. FastLane was your last chance. FastLane was your last chance to do something with it. And again, I want to stress, I don't have a problem with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is fine. He's fine in the ring. His character, like, he's not good on the mic, but nobody's good at everything.
Yeah.
No one's good at everything, and I think that if they had it, they made his character in a certain way where they can, protect him and hide his weaknesses, he would do fine. But the writing of his character and the writing of this main event story is so fucking bad that just nobody is interested in seeing what's supposed to be your biggest match of the year. Roman and Brock had a similar problem, but it wasn't as bad because Brock was just killing everybody and he ran through Cena and he's just this monster destroyer. And you had the match with Roman and Daniel Bryan that was good. It was a very good match. It gave Roman validation going in. But now it's just like a thing of, we're going on, year 2+ of the Roman Reigns experiment as a babyface singles wrestler. We're going into the second year of that now, of people of seeing this and rejecting it, and people are trying to make the comparison of like, oh well, when they turn him heel, he'll be fine or whatever. The thing is like, everybody forgets that when Rocky Maivia came in, people hated him, and he turned into The Rock, and then he became awesome. That was 6 months into his WWE run. Yeah. He was 6 months into his career. This would be like if WWE was trying to force Blue Chipper Rocky Maivia into the main event of WrestleMania for the second straight year. That's exactly what they're doing. And back then, they saw, okay, we thought this guy was going to be one thing. The people don't want him to be this one thing. What else can he do? Let's make him into that thing. And they're not doing that with Roman. They
almost started to, and then they went right back to this.
Yeah, they're forcing him into, well, we want Roman to be this thing. He's not good at this thing. People know he's not good at this thing. Let's have him keep doing this thing until people like him. And it's just not going to happen. It really just feels like, I just don't understand how you can lose touch that badly with your audience, and at the same time, literally not even like a year later or a month later, at the same time, on your other brand, be doing literally everything correctly. Like, look at every match on that NXT Dallas card. And we won't go into specifics, I guess, for the few people who maybe haven't been spoiled to it. But look at every match in that card. For those of you who have seen that already, you are excited to see every one of those matches. Every goddamn one of those matches, you're like, oh shit, this is going to be awesome. Look at that final WrestleMania card and see if you can say the same thing about half of those. And that's supposed to be your marquee show for your top people in your company that has 100 goddamn years of history. That's what you're supposed to do, and your students are kicking the shit out of you on a weekly basis. It's I just don't understand how that can happen. I understand that WWE is pop music, and you know it's just there to sell merchandise and appeal to shareholders and stuff, and that's fine. But, like, it's still gotta be good, right? I mean, they're just failing on story levels. They're just failing on basic storytelling. Your bad guy is not doing anything that's getting him disliked badly enough by your audience. Your good guy isn't liked by your audience. Like, you are just failing on a basic storytelling level. Like, how do you expect to gain momentum and sell out like tickets like we saw when we were in NXT Albany? Yeah. You know, they did their bumper for WrestleMania. We're 6 weeks out of WrestleMania, a WrestleMania that, granted, when they ran in smaller stadiums, would sell out in 2 hours. You know, you used to hear things about Raw like, tickets for WrestleMania sold out in 30 minutes or something. They're still available. Yeah. 6 weeks away from the show. So they are just, I have such a bad taste in my mouth about what's going to happen with WrestleMania. And I feel, here's the positive out of this. I feel that NXT Dallas combined with what is almost sure to be the underwhelming WrestleMania that's on paper, I think that this might finally be the catalyst where WWE looks at this and goes, shit, we need to fix this. And I'm hoping that's what happens. Those two combine, because Dallas is going to get over huge. WrestleMania, everybody's going to be like, fuck that. And then they're going to go, okay, something's gone wrong. We clearly have the tools to fix this because we just put on one of the most widely acclaimed shows of the year, maybe ever, based on that lineup. How do we translate that to this?
I guess I have one question. If NXT and this WrestleMania were in New York or somewhere East Coast, Northeast East Coast, the fans will do exactly what you think they will do. Is that going to happen in Dallas?
Yes, because you have to pay like $1,000 goddamn dollars to see WrestleMania, and you're not doing that if you're just casual Texas bumpkin.
That's fair.
You are traveling from Germany or New York or Portland. You are traveling from all around the world. You are devoting an entire weekend and thousands of dollars to watching wrestling. You know what's going on.
That's fair.
So I think no matter where they hold this card, that's going to be the case. And based on, like I said, how expensive it is to see WrestleMania, you are not doing that unless you are a diehard wrestling fan. And I think that the reactions from the crowd are going to be like they have been leading up to this. They're going to be lackluster. You listen to those pay-per-view crowds. You listen to those crowds that buy Raw tickets. They're not happy.
Well, it's always tough, too, in WrestleMania because big stadium, you know.
It's not going to come through as much.
Yeah. But Dallas might be, AT&T Stadium might be a little better at, it's not a straight wide open stadium like it's been in the last few years where all that sound just goes out. Because of the overhead screen and everything else, the sound will stay in a little better.
Right.
So hopefully that helps.
Well, helps in what way? Just because the boos will get through further?
If you hear something from the crowd, I don't care if it's boos or cheers, it makes it feel a little better. There's a closer connection there.
Yeah.
The last few WrestleManias, just with all that sound just escaping before it can do anything, great matches, just you don't hear the crowd reaction that well. And it's very faint if you do because that audio doesn't stay in there, you know?
Yeah.
That's what made being at the Armory, you know, for NXT Albany, just, you know, this last weekend, it's such a small venue that you hear everything. It's just, it's the feeling, and that feeling itself energizes the crowd more, and it's a feedback loop to where it's just awesome. In the big stadiums, you don't get that as much, so it's tough. So
yeah, I mean,
AT&T Stadium should be better than some of the last venues have been at that, but And let's hope it does. Let's hope the crowd boos WrestleMania hard most of the matches that are very lackluster, and you hear it. And on the broadcast, you hear the boos, because that will help what you just said happen.
You're right. I do think that there is, I guess the other chance of that not happening is just we're at WrestleMania, so we're going to just kind of do whatever is expected of us because we're just excited to be here sort of thing. It's like that phenomenon where people will just like shit talk Hulk Hogan for years and years and years on end, and then when Real American plays, like, oh my god, it's Hulk Hogan! Like something like that. Like, oh my god, we're at WrestleMania, this is awesome. Oh, look, it's Roman Reigns. Oh, look, he won the belt, and there's fireworks and pyro, and hooray! So maybe that happens, but I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that, if you're at this show and you're unhappy with what you're seeing, like, stick to your guns, because it's the only way it's going to change. Yeah. And if you do, like, maybe, you know what, like, but like past few WrestleManias have been great, though. And they had kind of shitty build-up, and, with Seth winning last year and Daniel Bryan winning the year before, like, they've done well. So maybe they managed to pull this all out of the fire and save Christmas or whatever. But I just feel like I'm hoping...
As long as we don't have Triple H and another freaking Terminator...
Oh, God, how bad is his entrance going to be? Because he's in the main goddamn event. He's in the main event. I
hate it. I hate
Well, Lemmy's dead, entrance. So we can't do a Motorhead. We can't do a live band.
That's the only thing that would have been good.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, he's going to do some sort of like...
Triple H's ego, he'll just sing the theme song with Motorhead. And simultaneously tick off the entire world. It just
comes out, to the
That's about the only thing that can top the ego of he himself is the Terminator. Like,
here's what I think. Here's my prediction for Triple H's stupid entrance. 14-time champion. 13 Triple H impersonators with 13 different versions of the belts that he held at the time, dressed in the attire that he was wearing when he won them. Or the style.
I could see it. I can't even be like, no way. I could absolutely see him doing that.
I could almost like I would almost be willing to put like money on that.
He never won it as Hunter Hearst Helmsley, right?
No, he never had the
as
blue
that
blood
gimmick.
Yeah, so they may
or they just run back all of his gimmicks.
They might do that too. Like, it might be a gimmick run back.
Oh my gosh, no, I don't want
to. Okay, here's we're running super late with this show, but
we're way off the tangent.
But here's I think the only way that you save the main event as it currently stands. This is a win or retire match for Triple H. Like, Triple H loses, he has to retire. That at least adds some sort of stakes.
I would be okay with that.
Like, at least it's not going to be great, but it'll be something. Like, there's the belt's on the line, which is sort of stakes, but they haven't really done shit with it in a month, so it doesn't really mean anything. But it's a thing of Triple H, like, I'm putting my career on the line against you because I can beat you, Roman Reigns, straight up in a one-on-one match and whatever.
If it means the chance of not seeing him wrestle again?
And that's what's like let that be the close of your career. Like, you ended your career defending the world title in WrestleMania in the main event. Congratulations, Triple H. And then that's it. Like, I think that's... And Triple H Roman beating Triple H and finally putting a goddamn end to this insanity might be the thing that would get people to cheer for him. Like, this is finally over. Thank fucking Christ. Like, maybe that would be something that saves it. But beyond that, it's gonna be...
He does what even Cena couldn't do.
Yeah, it's gonna be a disaster. It's gonna be not good. And here's... Okay, final thing. This is the thing of... People are like, because I'm obviously a member of a shit ton of different wrestling groups on Facebook and stuff just from promoting the show and whatnot. And people are like, oh, the smarks are whining, oh, they're bitching and complaining and whatever. And it's like, we're bitching and complaining because we know they can do better. Because they have the deepest roster they've ever had. Because they are capable... Their developmental show is killing it. They have the tools. They have everything in place to give us something really special and spectacular and wonderful. And whether it's through ignorance or spite, they're not.
Or
and
Vince
that's the
McMahon's
problem.
Stubbornness.
Like, we've talked about this on the show before. I don't necessarily think Vince is the problem, and I don't think that when he retires or dies, everything's going to magically change, and it's all going to be wonderful. I think it's a thing of, well, we need to do it this way because, we need to sell this many t-shirts and this many tickets and whatever. Or it's a thing of, well, we like this idea, so we're going to do it. It's one of those two things, and I don't know which it is, and I don't know which would be better, to be honest with you. And that's why we complain. I want to see them succeed. I want to see them do well. I want to see a crowd cheer the shit out of Roman Reigns or boo the shit out of him, whatever he's doing, whatever gimmick he's in, whether he's supposed to be a face or a heel. I want to see him succeed. I want to see Triple H have a good character that we either want to see on TV or hate or whatever. I want to see all of those people be entertaining and put on good matches and have good, long, successful careers. And I think, even though people may say contrary about certain wrestlers, I think the majority of people agree with me in that fact. Same thing with John Cena. We want to see these guys do well. We want to see these guys entertain us. Nobody wants to take 3 hours out of their day and pay $10 a month or $50 or $100 for a live ticket or $1,000 for a ticket to WrestleMania to sit there and be pissed off and bitch and complain. We want to see, we want to see something good and interesting and cool. And the fact that they're not giving it to us, and they can. It would be different, like, if I buy $20 and go to an indie show and they just have half of their card are backyarders and half of their card are like 50-year-old guys who are just on their way down, like, my expectations at a certain level. And I can go, oh, well, they tried. Like, okay, like, that wasn't the best thing I've ever seen, but all right.
That's where I'm at with this pay-per-view.
But that's the thing, is when you have a multi-billion-dollar company that has a roster of 100 people, 25 at least of which are some of the very best people in the world, or people who have been doing this for 20, 30 years and should know what they're doing and know how to put on a good show and tell a good story, and they don't, that's when you get angry. That's when you get pissed off, because they have all the tools and they're just not using them. It's like you have a paintbrush and you're trying to use it to build the birdhouse. Like, not paint the birdhouse. Like, it's just like you're doing the wrong thing with the tools you have.
Great sales you ever heard in a while.
It's like, let's build this birdhouse with a paintbrush. It's not what you use paintbrush for. Like, just fucking, like, you have a goddamn hammer and nail sitting right next to you. Use the fucking hammer and nails. And then you paint the birdbrush, or the birdhouse with the bird brush. All right, we need to stop. I'm done.
The problem was FastLane needed more Miz.
Yeah, that was the issue. All right, that's going to wrap it up, unless you have anything else to say.
I think we've talked about everything.
All right, hope you enjoyed the show, ladies and gentlemen. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you'd like to send us any feedback, you can do so. changethequestions@gmail.com, or you can check us out on Twitter at changetheqs, which is at changetheqs. Also be sure to like us on Facebook. Check out all of our other shows on Monday. We actually just put up a new episode of Time Warp featuring Big Show in the 70s. Be sure to check that one out.
Whoa.
Tuesdays and Thursdays we have Change the Questions. Wednesdays we have Booking About a Wrestler. And Fridays we have Let's Play TEW. For Daniel Peruzzi.
Me.
My name is Paul Laporte. We'll see you again soon. Goodbye.